In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and beloved Messenger Muhammad. And may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. This is an introductory episode to a series entitled Applied Islam. And as an introduction to this series, let us ponder upon the following verse of the Quran in chapter 61 verse 3, which reads, "Most hateful it is with Allah God that you say that which you do not do." So if we ponder upon this verse, we see that Allah God Almighty warns us about something very, very, very dangerous. And this kind of matter of paramount importance is that the importance of applying what you know, or the theory. Now, so here the kind of the whole matter is about the theory and the application. Let me give you an example. Suppose that somebody says that he loves Allah, God Almighty, and His Messenger. We hear so many people, they say that they love Allah and His Messenger. Now this is something theoretical. Now the practical applications of this is that if you indeed love Allah, God, and His Messenger, you should have good manners, you should strive to make the word of Allah God supreme. This is the application of this love. But what we see people doing is that they say that they love Allah and His Messenger, but actually in the kind of the application, they have bad manners, they cheat, they tell lies, they are disrespectful to others, they do not strive to make the word of Allah supreme. So there's a big problem here. So Allah is saying that He hates this. He hates that you say something and you don't apply it. So we see about the theory and the application. So let us give the other example. The Quran, the last revelation of Allah God to people, it is our reference book for people. It is your reference, your guide, your source of getting knowledge. That's what the Quran is supposed to be. Now, what we see Muslims doing is that when they have, for example, kind of a mental disturbance or a mental illness, do they go to the Quran to find the answer? No. What they do is they go to doctors who learned from Freud and Lewis and other kind of names. So they say that the Quran is their reference, their guidebook, their source of knowledge, but the application is not to that effect. So there is a kind of a big problem here. Allah hates this. Also, suppose somebody wants to build a structure in engineering. Do we see that this person goes to the Quran to learn the structure, to know the optimal design? No. He goes to Timoshenko, to Johnson, to these names. Another problem. So what I'm trying to emphasize here is that the Quran is the source of knowledge for people. That's what Allah intended to be. But what we see that there is kind of a lack of application of this. So this series of Applied Islam, I'll show you with what Allah guided me to, how to find solutions to problems in your daily life from the Quran. So it will be kind of presented in a problem solution kind of approach. Real problems you face. For example, if you have a mental illness, how to cure it from the Quran. If you want to build a structure which is strong and can resist earthquakes, how to do that from the Quran. If you want to know the theory of everything in physics, how to find it from the Quran. If you want to know the best kind of nutrition in your day, how to know it from the Quran. So how to find real solutions for real problems in your life. And honestly speaking, let's see the situation with the youth, the Muslim youth, and the Muslims in general. All of their problems, they depend on strangers of the religion to find a solution. What that produces is that that person becomes brainwashed with the stranger's way of life, his goals, his ambitions, his aims. He sees him as a reference. That's a very big problem, because your reference should be the Quran. And when you follow a person, you do a lot of mistakes. But when you follow the guidance of Allah God, you are saved from these mistakes. And this kind of, we want to change this. We want the Muslims to take their knowledge from the Quran. Every person take his knowledge from the Quran. You will take knowledge which is correct from the first time, no trial error approach, which takes so much of your time and does a lot of problems. Okay, so you see, Allah God willing, in this series, how to find solutions to real life problems from the Quran, something you can apply, and not just theoretical work. And I'll show you this, Allah God willing. Now, this kind of approach shouldn't be strange to Muslims, because if we ponder upon the first verse that was revealed to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the very first verse in the revelation is the one you see on the screen, which the translation is, read in the name of your Lord who created. So Allah is commanding us to read, to seek knowledge. But does He tell us to seek knowledge from Johnson and Skinner and Newton? No, He's telling us to seek knowledge from the source of knowledge, in which every information starts in the name of your Lord who created. And the name of the Lord who created is Allah. And the only book on the face of the earth in which every information starts in the name of Allah God, the most compassionate, the most merciful, is the Quran. So the meaning of this verse is that Allah wants you to take knowledge from the Quran. And as I said, this is the aim of this series, how to find solutions to real life problems from the Quran, something you can apply, and the Quran becoming your reference book and your source of knowledge. And Allah God willing, hopefully and soon, the episodes will be on this website, www.quran-miracle.com, and you can email me at zaidquran@gmail.com, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all.